Hello everybody, welcome to another video. My name is Infiniti and today I am here with a special project tutorial. As you guys know, the holidays are fast approaching and I thought what better way to kind of bring that along than with one of my pattern tutorials. So I know the holidays are going to be a little weird for some people this year, and I thought this would be a good way to kind of bring on some festivity to the holidays. So today I'll be showing you guys how to make my traditional Santa hat. If you want to support the channel, this pattern is available in my Etsy store, which is linked in my description box below, so feel free to check that out over there. Also, stick around to the end of the video and I will tell you guys about how I'm going to be sharing this pattern for free coming soon. You're going to want to have 2 colors of yarn for this pattern, and when you get done with it, it'll measure about 23 inches, so it should drape over the shoulder. I'll be showing you guys how it wears at the end of the video as well, so be sure to stick around. Alright, and without further ado, let's get started. Today I'll be using Red Heart Super Saver in cherry red and in white. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with a magic circle, and you can do this in any way you'd like. And we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Alright, and I'm going to pull mine closed just a little bit. We will only be working 5 double crochets into this ring for a total of 6 stitches. That chain 3 does count as a double crochet. I'm going to go ahead and make my second double crochet here. So now what I want to do is slip stitch to join into the top of that chain 3 that we made at the beginning of the row. Okay, and we have this little weird looking piece here. So now what I want to do is chain 3 again. 1, 2, 3. And what I'm going to do is work a double crochet in each of the stitches around this row, so I should still end up with 6 stitches. Alright, and you can weave your tail in as you go along. I usually do, but this time I forgot. So, alright, now that we have reached the end of this row, what we're going to do is again join the top of that chain 3 with a slip stitch, or if you know how to do the alternative joining method, you can use that method also. Right, and chain 3. Right, now we're going to start to increase. So what we want to do is place 2 double crochets in each stitch around for a total of 12 stitches. I yarn over, insert my hook into that base of that chain 3, make a double crochet. And we're just going to make 2 double crochets all the way around. And I'm coming up, let me see, 2, 4, 6, 8, here's 10, and pulling this apart a little bit, I need to work into my last stitch here, which will give me 12 stitches. Alright, now we can join the row into the top of that chain 3 from the beginning. Alright, now what we want to do is work a double crochet in each stitch around. So again, a total of 12 double crochet. Alright, and working into that last stitch, which gives me 12. And then we're going to join to the top of that chain 3. Alright. And I want to show you guys what this looks like so far. It doesn't look like much. It kind of looks like a bowling pin. When I first started designing this project, I was a little afraid that it wouldn't shape up right, but you'll see in the end that it looks just fine. So now we're going to move on to the next row. Alright, in this next row what we're going to do is we're going to yarn over. We're going to double crochet in the base of that chain 3 that we just made. And that counts as an increase. What we're going to do in the next stitch, insert your hook and make 1 double crochet. And in the next stitch, we're going to increase. And in the next stitch, we're going to make 1 double crochet. And in the next stitch, we're going to increase. We're going to repeat this pattern all the way around. Alright, and I am making my last double crochet here, and you'll know you're doing this pattern right. If you start an increase row with an increase, it should not end on an increase. So I know that I started with an increase at the beginning of my row, and I just finished this row with a single double crochet in that last stitch, so I did it correctly. Now I'm going to join and chain 3. Alright, moving on to this next row. This is a row that we're not going to increase on, so we're just going to work in the next stitch with a double crochet, like so. And then we are going to work a double crochet in each of the stitches around. Alright, I've worked all my stitches, and now I'm going to join my row and chain 3. Alright, so I'm going to increase on this row, insert my hook in the base of that chain 3, make a double crochet. Now in the next stitch, I am going to make a double crochet, and sometimes this next stitch can be a little hidden, so you might have to kind of pull your stitches apart and find it. I'm going to place a single double crochet. In the next stitch, we're going to make another just regular double crochet. And in that next stitch, we are going to make an increase. Alright, we're going to do that again. Just 1 double crochet in the next stitch. 1 double crochet in the next stitch, and then we are going to increase. And this is our pattern for this row. Oops. And I've made my last increase of the row, and I have 2 more stitches left, so I'm just going to double crochet into each of those 2 stitches. And I'm going to join this row and chain my 3. For this row, we're just going to make a stitch, a double crochet in each stitch around. Right, and now I'm going to join at the top of that chain 3, and I'm going to chain my 3. Alright, for this next row, what we're going to do is we're going to make an increase. So we're going to double crochet at the base of this chain 3 we just made. Then we're going to make a double crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. So there's that first one, it's tricky looking. 2 and 3. Alright, now we're going to make an increase. One, 2, 3. Increase. And this is the pattern for this row. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is join and chain my 3. If you guys are curious, I am using the alternative chaining method, which is a tutorial I did on my channel, and I'll try to link that for you guys either up in a corner here or down in the comment section below. Alright, so now I'm going to just work a double crochet in each stitch around. And that is the pattern for this row. Alright, and making my last double crochet of this row. Now I'm going to join with a slip stitch, or my alternative method, and I'm going to chain 3. Alright, now this is going to be a row of increase, so what we're going to do is we are going to place a double crochet in the base of that chain 3 that we just made for our increase. Then we're going to place 4 stitches between our increases on this row. So in the next stitch, I'm going to do a double crochet. In the next stitch, I'm going to make another double crochet. It's 2. Working into the next one. It's 3. And working into that 4th stitch, I'm just going to make a double crochet. And then in the next stitch, I am going to increase, placing 2 double crochets in the same stitch. Alright, going to do that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then increase. Right, making my last stitch there. Okay, and now I'm going to join as soon as I can get a good grip on my yarn. And 1, 2, 3. Alright, and this next row is just going to be a row of double crochets, 1 double crochet in each stitch, and I'll meet you back around for the next row. Alright, now I am about to join this row. And you're going to chain your 3. Now, this row is going to be our last row of increase for a little bit. So what we're going to do, we're going to make that double crochet in the base of our chain 3 like we've been doing. And then we're going to place 5 double crochets between increases. So in the next 5 stitches, I'm going to place 1 double crochet. And 5. Alright, now I'm going to make an increase in that next stitch, which is placing 2 double crochets in the same stitch. Alright, now I'm going to make a double crochet in the next 5 stitches. Alright, and make my increase in the next stitch. And this is my pattern for this row. So at this point, now that we've closed, this is what it looks like. Depending on the size yarn you are using, it might be big enough for a baby's head. I typically don't make things for children or babies, so I do not have that specific size outlined in my pattern. However, in a few rows, it will be big enough for a child's head, which I do have noted in my pattern. So now that we have done this, we're ready to move on to row 14. And I'm just going to go ahead and chain up my 2. So for rows 14 through 17, what I'm going to do is just place a double crochet in each stitch around. That's it for rows 14 through 17. So I'm going to work up those rows, and I'll meet you guys back when I am ready to move on to row 18. Alright guys, so I have worked up rows 14 through 17, and now I'm ready to move on to row 18. Now what I'm going to do now is yarn over. I'm going to be increasing on this row, so I am going to make a double crochet in the base of that chain 3 that I made. Then I'm going to be putting 6 double crochets between increases for this row. So that's 1. And remember, you might have to kind of pull those stitches apart to see that little stitch next to your increase, because it hides sometimes. But alright, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now I'm going to increase in that next stitch. Alright, and then I'm going to do that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and increase in the next stitch. And so this is what I'm going to do for the remainder of my row, and I'll meet you guys back for row 19. Alright, and I am joining row 18. I'm going to chain up my 3. Alright, now this row is a row where we just do double crochets. So I'm going to place 1 double crochet in each stitch around. Alright, now I am joining this row. Now this next row is going to be a row of increase. I'm going to chain up my little 3. I'm going to make my double crochet in the base of that chain 3. And now we're going to be putting 7 stitches between each increase. And I build up the pattern this way because I wanted a more gradual increase around the head as opposed to your standard just straight equilateral triangle thing that some people have going on. All right, increase 4, 5, 6, 7, then increase in the next stitch. Alright, joining my row. This next row is going to be another row of placing 1 double crochet in each stitch around. So I'm going to do that, and I'll meet you guys back when I reach the end. Alright, so now I am ready to move on to my next row of increase. This time we'll be putting 8 stitches between increases. So I'm going to go ahead and make my double crochet in the base of that chain 3. And then I'm going to go about making my 8 double crochet. So as you can see, this is a very easy and beginner pattern, something that's quick to master, and you can turn them out in no time. 3, and double counting never hurts. I know I've done it several times over the video. I just want to make sure that I have all my stitches in the right place. Okay, we're going to do that again. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and working into this 8th one here, and we're going to increase. Alright, so I'm going to work this pattern all the way around, and I'll meet you guys back when I join this row. If you want to work ahead, when I join this row, I'll be doing another row of just double crochets. Alright, it's my last stitch. I'm going to join at the top of this chain 3 here, if it wants to cooperate. Alright, now for this row I'm going to just be placing double crochets in each stitch around, so just 1 double crochet in each stitch around, and I'll meet you guys back for the next row. And I do want to make mention that the last row of increases we did was row 22. After you do row 22, it's up to you. You can do this row of double crochets, or you can pause for me and we can get started with using our white yarn to do our brim. It's entirely up to you, but that is the child-sized measurement that I did in the written pattern. Alright, so now that I have completed that row and joined, what I'm going to do is start this row of increase. So this time we'll be placing 9 stitches between increases. So something I do want to make mention of, like I said, I'm using the Red Heart Super Saver yarn in Cherry Red. The cherry red yarn, I don't know, it's a little spongier to me when I work it up, and so the red versions of my Santa hats always seem a little bit larger than what they need to be. Sometimes I think this is a visual illusion, but then other times probably not. So what you can do after this row of increase is not increase anymore, because after this we do have one more row of increase, which would likely fit a male size head. So just keep that in mind as you work up your project. If you're making this for yourself, you can test it on your own head and make sure it fits right. I always go up to that 10th row of increase. Well, not 10th row, yeah, 10th row of increase, just to make sure that I have enough room, because my hair is thick and sometimes it fills out just fine and sometimes it's like so all right, so 9 stitches between increases. I have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and I'm going to increase. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Alright, and I'm coming up on these last few stitches of this row. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Alright, now I'm going to join this row, and I'm going to do another row of just double crochets, and then I'll meet you back for that final row of increase. Alright, now we are ready to move on to our final row of increases. I know you guys are tired of increasing. Alright, so what we're going to do again is place that double crochet in the base of the chain 3 that we made at the beginning of the row, so that we have 2 stitches. Now we're going to place a whopping 10 double crochets between our increases. So, yarn over, identify that very next stitch. Again, sometimes he hides. And we're going to just go about making our 10 stitches. There's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, and then the next stitch we're going to increase, so we're going to place 2 double crochets in the same stitch. Alright, 2, 3. I'm going to finish this row off putting 10 double crochets between my increases, and I will meet you guys back when we are ready to move on to the next row. And for the next row we will be changing colors, so get your color bee ready. Right, and we are coming up on the end of row 27. This is row 27 in the written pattern. And now we are going to join the row, but I'm going to be performing a color change. So if you don't know how to do this, let's go ahead and zoom in. And if you don't know how to do a color change, you're going to insert your hook into the top of that chain 3. But instead of joining with the red color that we've been working with, you are going to grab your color B. I know, bold of me to assume you've been working in red. Alright, and we're going to create a loop, just like this. We're going to put it over our hook. Now, some people do a slip knot and then loop it over their hook. I just go for the loop thing. And then we're just going to perform a slip stitch with that second color. And you can chain 1 to secure it, which I'm going to do in a second here. Alright. Alright. And I'm actually going to chain another one for a total of 2 chains, because I will be doing an entire row of half double crochets. That's all we're going to be doing around this row, is half double crochets. That's yarning over. We're going to yarn over and insert our hook into that first stitch. Now I'm going to be weaving in my ends as I go along here. Yarn over, pull up a loop, pull through 3. I'm going to go ahead and snip my red yarn from this project because it's going to get in my way soon and I'm going to get tired of fiddling with it. And I'm going to keep half doubling, like I said, all the way around this row, and I'll meet you guys back when I am ready for row 29. So now that I've made all my half double crochets in this row, what I'm going to do is join to the top of that half double crochet from the beginning of the row, and I'm just going to join with a slip stitch. Now I'm going to chain up 3. So now for rows 29 through 35, we're going to be doing the absolute same thing. So this pattern that I'm about to show you is what we're going to be doing to the end of this pattern. Alright, so I've chained up my 3 because we're going to be doing front post and back post double crochet. So front post double crochet, going to go around the back of the stitch, come out the other side, and we're going to yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. If you need a more in-depth tutorial, I do have one back on my channel, so feel free to check that out. Alright, so now we're going to do a back post double crochet. So what we're going to do is come through the front of our next stitch and come out the other side. Then we're going to yarn over, pull up a loop, and we have this back posting. And I know it's a little weird to see with this white yarn, but this is the pattern for our row. Alright, and now that I've hit the end of my row, I finished off with a front post double crochet, and I'm just going to slip stitch in the top of that chain 3 from the beginning of the row, and I'm going to chain up 3. So I'm going to repeat, like I said, I'm going to repeat row 29 5 more times till I get to row 35, and then I'm going to fasten off, and then we can move on to the next part of the pattern. Alright, so I've done those 6 rows, and as you guys can see, I have tacked in my edges, my strings, my strings. I used a little bit of fray check to keep them down, and I went ahead and clipped those off. So now the only one I'll have to really sew is this white one that I'm about to make. So I began to join my row, so I'm just going to do that with a slip stitch. Now, it doesn't really matter. Sometimes I go over a stitch and slip stitch as well, and then I chain 1 and fasten off, but I won't do that this time. I'm just going to chain 1 and fasten off. Alright, I'm going to tuck that. I'll save that end for later. So now the hat is done, and this is actually the wrong side of my work, so I'm going to go ahead and reach in here. And what I do is I put my hand in there, and then I just kind of push in this tip because it's super tiny and can be a little weird. So I just use my thumb to kind of push it out, make sure it's completely out there. And then I go ahead and flip this on the right side. Oops. Right, and this is my nice clean side, and just go ahead and get my life together with this tip here. And there we go. Yep, there we go. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is zoom out just a little bit so you guys can see this. Alright, so this is what it looks like so far. Now you have options here. If you want to go ahead and put a pom-pom on this top part, you can. I'm going to show you guys how to make that in just a moment. Or if you're super extra like I am, you could put jingle bells on the end of it for an elf hat. I am going to do the pom though. Alright, so now you have a couple options for making your pom-pom. You can either use a pom-pom maker, which I think everybody has one of these in their studio. I have a tutorial on how to use this guy back on my channel, but for today I'm going to be using my hand. So what I'm going to do is just start wrapping yarn around my hand. Some people count their wraps, some people don't. Typically people use anywhere between 50 to 100 wraps, depending on the size of the pom they're trying to make. So I'm just going to wrap until I'm tired of wrapping because I don't typically count those. So once you have the desired amount of yarn wrapped around your hand, I'll meet you guys back and show you how to continue with your pom. Alright, so I think this is sufficient for me, so what I'm going to do is just kind of snip that off from my main yarn. And I can now take this monstrosity off of my hand. And I'm going to lay it on my table like so. Cool. Alright, now I'm going to cut a length of yarn. Most people will tell you about 10 to 12 inches. I'm just going to pull that out, snip. Alright, and what we're going to do is going to lay out our yarn. And we're going to put our little ball of yarn on top of it, so that the yarn we're going to tie comes across the center of it like this. And what we're going to do is just tie it. Going to tie it, we're going to pull it tight so that it cinches in the middle like so. And we're gonna, I like to tie it again across here. Alright, make that little knot there. And then I'm going to flip them over. And I'm going to find my string. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side. This gives me a nice secure little pom. That's the last thing you want, is for this thing to fall apart on you. Alright, we're going to knot it on this side as well. And there we go. So this is what it looks like so far. Now I'm going to snip this yarn that I just tied with because I'm done with him. And let me get my big scissors for this. What we're going to do, both of these sides have loops like this. And we're just going to go about cutting them. Now you can do them all at once, or you can take them piece by piece. Depends on how sharp your scissors are. These are pretty sharp. I learned the hard way. Alright. Making sure I get all of them. Alright. Now I'm going to do the other side. this side is done. So now you can go about flipping this thing out. And you can cut any irregular looking strings. So I have the super long one on the bottom. They just snipped off. Now some people go about combing these out. I don't. But you are more than welcome to do so. Usually people who do that are looking for more of that faux fur pom look. So you're free to do that. But this is how I do mine for my hats. And so now we can sew this on to the actual top of our hat. I'm going to show you how to do that real quick. I'm going to get my yarn needle and I'm going to thread it. Alright. I'm going to thread it. I'm not going to need this entire tail, so I'm going to cut it a little short. Okay, what I do once I have my needle threaded, I come and I find the very top of my hat, and I insert that needle down through there, and then I come back out the outside. Right, and I pull that down as tight as it'll go. That's the last thing you want, is like a floppy palm. And if I have any weird looking holes on the side of my project, I'll use this tail to sew that together a little bit. So like right there's some irregular spacing, and I pull it tight so you can no longer see the white yarn under there. And then I run my yarn, my needle, back up to the tip of that project, and I run it through the center of this palm. Careful not to jab myself with my needle. And pull that on up through there. And it's here that I can see that this thing is good and secure on my project. So I'm going to run it back down like on the opposite side. Careful not to tangle up any of my little frizzies. I'm going to go ahead and pull that through there. And I'm going to come down here and I'm going to try to find one of those strands that I initially went up into my palm with. And I'm just going to knot this tail around there. Alright, and then what I like to do is use a little fray check. So it's basically liquid stitch, and it secures your stitches in place. Even though I've never had an issue with them coming apart, I just like to put that down there as a precaution. Alright, now you can either wait till it dries, or you can snip just above it. And it'll dry in place and it'll never ever come apart. Alright, and let's see if I can zoom out and show you guys what this looks like. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. This is what this looks like when it's done. It measures about 23 inches. So when you wear it, the tip of it drapes down onto your shoulder, and I'll be sure to pop up a picture or a video at the end of this video to show you guys what that looks like. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Give this video a like. It helps me out more than you know. Don't forget to leave me a comment down below letting me know how it did, or what kinds of content you would like to see in the future. If you want to see more of my content, I am on pretty much everything social media wise except for Snapchat and TikTok. So I have something out there for everybody. You can take a look at all of that in my description box below under the InfinitiWhitley card link down there. If you want to support the content, like I said, this pattern is available in my Etsy shop. It'll be there forever, I promise. You can also check out my blog where I take donations. I also post a bunch of updates regarding the channel and upcoming projects. So if you just want to follow the blog for the sake of that, hiatus is coming. So just to put that out there. And you can also check out my Teespring store where I sell t-shirts and mugs and things like that relate to the channel and artsy, craftsy stuff. So until next time guys, happy making. Alright guys, thank you so much for tuning into this video and making it all the way to the end of the video. Today I thought about it while I was doing a live the other day, and I figured, why not share this pattern for free? So I will be sharing between now and December 20th this pattern for free. I'll be sure to link the Google Doc in the description box below so everybody can enjoy the pattern for that time period. Alright, and don't forget to give me a thumbs up, don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Until then, happy making.